Sonny Burmeister, a businessman in Atlanta, introduced us to his children.
This is my daughter, Honey. She is 12. She'll be 13 in January. And this is my son, Aaron Matthew, who just turned 11.
He has a lot of pictures of his kids around the house because he doesn't have his kids around the house.
How often do you get to see them?
About once every 6 months now that they've moved 400 miles away.
Sonny Burmeister got divorced in 1981, but up until 3 years ago, his children lived just 10 minutes away with their mother, who had remarried. Then her husband took a new job.
Tell me what happened. Did you get a phone call saying we're not living in Georgia anymore? How did that happen?
When we put into the driveway, there was a for sale sign. And I just looked at the children without saying anything. And they both started crying. And I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Dad, we're moving to Kentucky."
So Sonny Burmeister, like millions of other divorced men, instantly became a part-time father.
We need to call our legislators.
Missing his kids, being separated from them, turned Sonny Burmeister into an activist.
I think what it's going to take is everybody to get damn mad about this.
He helped form a group in Atlanta called Fathers Are Parents Too, a support group that is pushing for joint custody laws to make sure no one is cut off from the children just because of divorce.
I say, okay, if I've got to pay back child support, why can't I have back visitation rights?
We have men here who are denied human rights.
This is a movement, and this is a story about one side of the divorce and custody battle, a side these men feel has seldom been told. Over and over again, the subject came around to powerlessness, helplessness. William told us about a time he tried to visit his child.
I drove through 3 states to pick up my son, and my wife had just changed her mind. Sorry, I've decided you can't have him now. I drove to North Carolina from Georgia through South Carolina to pick up my son, and she just changed her mind.
And what'd you say?
I hung up. What is there to say? I'm mad as hell. I'm hurt. And this state and that ex-wife have no right to treat me and my son that way.
In Georgia, the parent with custody, 98% of the time it's the mother, can pick up and leave the state without notifying the court or the father. The men become visitors in their children's lives, and they resent it.
I think visitation is for hospitals and prisons and not for parents and kids.
Yeah.
Okay? We can talk about visitation all we want. I'm not a visitor with my kids. I'm a father to my kids.
What I'm hearing here is that you get divorced from your wives because whatever reason, and you wind up losing your children in the process.
The court divorces you from the children. Bernie, this guy right here, he's got a card from his ex-wife telling him what a great father he is. And yet the judge says you can have 2 hours twice a week at Showbiz Pizza. Now, his son is 2 years old. What kind of nurturing, loving, bonding relationship can a 2-year-old form with a father at Showbiz Pizza twice a week for 2 hours?
True?
It's absolutely true.
You are a visitor.
Yeah, when she shows up. Otherwise, I'm just a person that goes to Showbiz Pizza a lot.
Do you think that the system, the courts, discriminates against men because you're men?
We have transcripts, we have affidavits where judges have said things like, in my particular case, the judge says, "Mr. Burmeister, I ain't never seen the calves follow the bull. They always follow the heifer. Therefore, I always give custody to the mamas." I wanted to scream back at him, does that mean if they break their legs, we shoot them, and if they get fat, we butcher them? My kids aren't cattle, okay?
Our masculinity is challenged, but we want to raise our kids.
Do you think the honest-to-goodness deadbeats, the guys who say, hey, I'm not paying child support, you know, who cares, are giving people like you a bad name?
Absolutely.
You can't find definitely.
There was no sympathy in this group for deadbeat dads, for men who refused to pay child support. But what about deadbeat moms, women who welch on visitation?
For every one father not paying child support, there are 3 fathers denied their relationship with their children. But you don't hear about that. You hear about deadbeat dads.
I don't know how to phrase this. What was it like when you lost your child?
That was the worst loss for me. I wanted to divorce this woman. I didn't want to lose my son. I love my boy. When I pick him up, he reaches for me to hug me and says, Daddy, and we go out for 2 or 3 days and have a wonderful time. But for me to not live with him is a violation of who I am as a dad.
I'm pretty shook up. I went all the way to Florida to see my daughter on her first birthday with letters that I'd sent saying I'm coming, no. And she wasn't there, and I had a tutu, one of those tutu things. It's pretty upsetting. I cried to my dad the other night so long and so hard I felt like a baby. But man, and then you hear those people stick it out, hang in there. Sent my brother over to come over, to make sure nothing happened.
They don't know.
Hell, man.
They don't know. Just don't pay attention. They don't know.
They hurt, and sometimes they're angry, but most of all, these are frightened men, afraid that their children will slip away from them. And they've even formed a network like the women's groups that came before them.
I have an urgent situation. I need to prevent my ex-wife from leaving the state in the next few days, if at all possible. So please call me as soon as possible at 977.
Hi, this is Sonny Burmeister. I'm Vice President of Fathers and Parents Too. Let me meet you at the entrance in 15 minutes. Ron?
Yes.
I'm Sonny Burmeister. How you doing?
Sonny, good to see you. My wife called me yesterday. I mean, we were really in desperation to do anything to keep them from leaving town.
That's why it's imperative that you get a good attorney. Now, what I'd recommend is that you contact these folks. Try to tonight. Most of them will have an answering service of some type. Contact them tonight. Tell them you've been referred by Fathers or Parents Too. You've got an emergency situation. Get hold of these attorneys right away.
I will.
Okay?
As soon as I get in the car.
Immediately get hold of these attorneys. Tell them that I told you to call.
Can I just ask you a quick question? Do I understand that your children may be taken from Georgia up to New Jersey?
Correct.
And when is that supposed
Saturday.
to happen?
I found out this past Saturday night about 11 p.m.
What did you feel like last Saturday night at 11 o'clock when you find out?
Shook up.
I mean, what did it feel like to be a father and know that your kids are going to be moved to New Jersey and you can't do anything about it? Okay?
Are you afraid, Ron, that you might lose them because of the 1,000 miles that they'll move?
I think it'll become physically and financially impossible to see them on a regular basis, other than maybe a summer visitation.
And then over the years, what? What are you worried about there?
They'll drift away from me.
Let me tell you what you can't do. You can't go over there and resort to any type of domestic violence. I don't care how angry you get. Don't hit her. Don't try to take the kids. Don't do anything, because all that will do is hurt you in court.
No, I understand.
Don't feel bad about the tears. Know that we care. Know that we're here for you, okay?
What's going to happen with him?
They'll set a hearing. And the problem is, if she doesn't come back, it's a civil matter. They won't chase her across state lines. They'll tell him, go hire an attorney in New Jersey.
As a practical matter, she very likely will, on Saturday, take those 3 kids.
Absolutely.
Pick up.
And move to New Jersey.
2 weeks after this encounter, they did move to New Jersey. A judge who heard the case said it was okay for them to leave.